As I get close to you. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good to see you again. Welcome once again to the DA Perspective. We got a lot going on this week, so we're just going to try to jump right into it. First thing I want to do, again, I want to send a special shout out to all the frontline responders at the moment. I mean, we're talking about the nurses, police officers, firefighters, anyone who's basically part of taking care of this whole, taking care of the healthcare element of helping people that are afflicted by this. And again, I also want to show some love to people who aren't on the front lines. I want to show love to the people at home taking care of their kids now in ways that they haven't had to for a while. I mean, they don't have school. So you're at home and a lot of these people are working and taking care of their kids, or they're not working and they're at home with their kids all day and they're trying to figure out, what do I do? So, yeah, I commend all of you for doing your best during this tumultuous time. And as I've alluded to before, it's really shitty that our leadership doesn't really give us any guidance on what it is that we're supposed to be doing or how best to kind of work with the situation. So, I wish you all the best, and you're definitely on my mind. And I know that, in the future that things are going to get better for everyone involved, and we're going to, come back a little bit stronger than this, ideally. Like I say right here, we survived together. So at the end, I want to give a little bit of instruction on how we can better communicate with each other and make sure that we kind of don't lose our way, where we came from, what we're doing. So yeah. All right, let's jump right into it. I want to give immediate updates on coronavirus. Shocker. So yeah, let's pull up the New York City clip. Yeah, let's do that.
Start tonight with Gabe Gutierrez.
This is the emergency room inside Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn. Doctors now call it a battle zone.
Everyone that's in here today is here due to breathing problems.
Can we try restarting the not the OBS, the browser? No. So yeah, so basically this video that I'm trying to pull up, it's just from the nightly news from last night. So the reason why I'm pulling in the nightly news clips is because of the various clips that I watch. The nightly news, the NBC, the ABC, the CBS, these are all the news sources that are supposed to be the de facto word on what we're all supposed to be doing. So whether they're disseminating information that comes from, the president or the different governors or whatever, this is supposed to be the most impartial. This is, the rule of law kind of thing, as far as, what we're all supposed to be doing or whatever. So,
let's try it again.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm pulling in this clip again because this is supposed to be the standard of what we're all doing now. So let's go ahead and pull that in.
This global horror only gets harder to capture, but here's a fact that graphically spells out the ruthless speed of this pandemic and its devastating impact. More people have died in New York in the last day than in nearly the whole of
We're going to go to a short break. We're going to be right back. Can you throw me on the splash screen real quick?
Death toll doubling since Tuesday to more than 3,000. And tonight, new hotspots erupting across the country with still no national strategy or unified defense plan. But here in the epicenter, the plea for help is piercing in its urgency. And with our team in place, New York is where we start tonight with Gabe Gutierrez.
This is the emergency room inside Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn. Doctors now
capture, but here's a fact that graphically spells out the ruthless speed of this pandemic and its devastating impact. More people have died in New York in the last day than in nearly the whole of March. The state's death toll doubling since Tuesday to more than 3,000. And tonight, new hotspots erupting across the country with still no national strategy or unified defense plan. But here are the
These face coverings can be easily washed or reused. I want to emphasize that the CDC is not recommending the use of medical grade or surgical grade masks.
The new layer of protection is no substitute for social.
The toll of this global horror only gets harder to capture, but here's a fact that graphically spells out the ruthless speed of this pandemic and its devastating impact. More people have died in New York in the last day than in nearly the whole of March. The state's death toll doubling since Tuesday to more than 3,000. And tonight, new hotspots erupting across the country with still no national strategy or unified defense.
Cool. All right. Oh, gotta flip this back. All right. So sorry about that. A little technical difficulties. So it's only our third time doing this in this fashion. So we're definitely still, working everything out. But here we are. So yeah. So we're gonna cue up that clip. Like I was saying, this is from the nightly news. It's supposed to be like the de facto, news source for the most up-to-date instructions that we're being given from our leadership. So yeah, you ready to cue that up? We got good. We got audio coming in from that as well.
Harder to capture, but here's a fact that graphically spells out the ruthless speed of this pandemic and its devastating impact. More people have died in New York in the last day than in nearly the whole of March. The state's death toll doubling since Tuesday to more than 3,000. And tonight, new hotspots erupting across the country with still no national strategy or unified defense plan. But here in the epicenter, the plea for help is piercing in its urgency. And with our team in place, New York is where we start tonight with Gabe Gutierrez.
This is the emergency room inside Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn. Doctors now call it a battle zone.
Everyone that's in here today is here due to breathing problems, almost uniformly all from COVID.
Tonight, growing anger from the nation's coronavirus epicenter.
We are afraid for our patients. We are afraid for our families. We are afraid for our lives.
At another hospital, these nurses are calling it a daily suicide mission with a lack of PPE, personal protective equipment.
This is life or death. Every hospital in the state of New York and across the United States should have the supplies they need.
Governor Andrew Cuomo has now signed an executive order allowing the state and the National Guard to take ventilators and PPE from hospitals that have too much and redistribute them to those who need it most.
Am I willing to deploy the National Guard and inconvenience people for several hundred lives? You're damn right I am.
The mayor is urging New Yorkers to cover their faces when going outside to keep them from spreading the virus to others. Now, an urgent
So I want to talk about two things real quick about that clip. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the PPE for the nurses, right? So here's the problem that we're having. There's not enough to go around, right? There's not enough of this equipment to get people what they need. That is a problem. That shouldn't be happening. We're literally we parade around the world and we tell everyone that we're better than them and that we can do anything. We have the most shit hot military in the world and we fucking kick ass. But we can't fight this virus. We don't have the equipment we need for this. Again, when we talk about nationalized healthcare, this is exactly why we need that. Right now, our healthcare system, because it's so fragmented, there's no like single point of planning, right? There's no single point of, okay, we start from the top and we disseminate down in an orderly fashion. No, it's a free-for-all right now. There is a stock supply that the government has of certain equipment, and then there's stockpiles and reserves of what each state has, right? So I don't have that clip, but there's a clip of Jared Kushner literally yesterday or the day before yesterday talking to a reporter about supply, right? And he said that the supply that the feds have is for them. It's not for the states. Literally in the operating instructions for I think it's called like a national stockpile or something like that. It's this it has equipment and stuff in it. Literally, and they're operating. It's on their website. I found it. I should have pulled it up. Anyways, it says the reason why this exists is to supplement the states when they need it. And this guy literally is out there telling him, well, we have our own. It's not for the states. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? You only exist to assist the country with what we're going through. The only reason our government should exist is to serve the people. So if you're not serving the people, then who are you serving? And we'll actually get into who they're serving in a little bit. But so yeah, the reason why we don't have enough equipment, one of the reasons why we don't have enough equipment for these healthcare professionals is because of our fragmented healthcare system and the lack of a nationalized system that puts the American people and their lives in the front of every decision-making process. Because right now, everything that they're fighting about is money. Money. Who's paying for it? Who's paying for it? Who's paying for these supplies? Who's paying for these gloves? We should have already had that. We as taxpayers have already paid for all of these things. You just decided to go spend our money on other shit. All right, can we go to the 3:33 minute of that same video? Yeah. It's okay. It's in Firefox now. So yeah. So the other thing about that I wanted you to pay attention to was Governor Cuomo. Okay. So I've been talking to a number of people. It's funny because now as I've started doing this, I'm kind of obviously this is not what I do. I'm not a journalist. I'm just some asshole with a camera. I get it, right? But I'm starting to get information from people who want to tell me the things that they know about their industry, but they essentially want to be confidential informants. Like they're not at liberty to come on screen and tell people what they know. And that's fair. And we'll actually go to another story soon that shows what happens when people come and tell the truth, but they're within a power structure that doesn't allow them to tell anyone what's going on. Because power, the worst thing that power can imagine is having egg on their face, looking stupid. Like, you can never be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. We literally teach our children, it's okay if you do something wrong, admit you did something wrong, figure out how to clean up the mess, and then move on about your life and learn from it. But when it comes to our leadership and our agencies in the government and just even our workplaces, like, it doesn't work that way, right? So we'll talk more about that later, about the military coming into, the military's coming in now to help, but all right, so let's play that next part of the video.
Thank you. And tonight, a major shift in the guidance on how to protect yourself through all this. The CDC now saying people should use cloth face coverings when going outside. It comes as the virus rapidly spreads. Confirmed cases in this country now surpassing 250,000, with 7,000 dead. Here's Miguel Almaguer.
Amid scenes like these across the country, tonight the Coronavirus Task Force is now asking all Americans to voluntarily wear non-medical face coverings while out in public, the bold step announced by the president a short time ago.
They can be either purchased online or simply made at home. These face coverings can be easily washed or reused. I want to emphasize that the CDC is not recommending the use of medical grade or surgical grade masks.
The new layer of protection is no substitute for social distancing, but it comes after the CDC added talking to its list of how the coronavirus spreads person to person, as some funeral homes and cemeteries struggle to keep pace with the skyrocketing number of fatalities. Tonight, there is growing concern over exploding hotspots. In states like Michigan, Massachusetts, Louisiana, and New Jersey, tens of thousands of new cases are flooding emergency rooms.
It's very hard because, my brother.
All right, we can pause here.
In hard-hit South Florida, 34-year-old Brandon Robinson went to the hospital and never came home.
So you know what's infuriating to me about this whole CDC all of a sudden telling people to wear masks? Why did it take them so long to say this? Seriously, do you remember when we were kids and we were learning about infectious diseases? We learned about bacteria and virus. Virus? How do you say virus? What's the plural virus? Literally, tell me. I don't know.
For Nebraska, this is the right
viruses.
plan.
I think it's viruses. So when you're a child and you're in school and they're teaching you about communicable diseases and how to spread infection or how to prevent the spread of the infectious diseases that you have, they literally tell you to wash your hands, to pay attention to the surfaces that you touch. They say to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. Like, very simple, right? And when they tell you, the reason why they tell you to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze is because whatever respiratory or whatever, virus is in your salivary, in your saliva or your breath as you're exhaling, it literally comes out in a plume. It's like a cloud, right? I just don't understand why it took them so long to tell people to put something over their fucking mouth. It's so simple. And I get it. Like, I even not even gonna lie, even I went out. I didn't have a mask on. I understand. I know. But I was definitely incredibly mindful of how close. Obviously, we've been social distancing, which is great. But social distancing was not like, should not have been the substitute for saying literally to people, hey, when you talk, you're spewing stuff out of your mouth. So like when I was going out, I literally was like not talking to anybody. And when somebody was trying to talk to me, like, get away from me. I'm not talking to you, Like, not that I don't like you or I don't love you. It's just like, hey, we got this thing going floating around in the air, right? So still doesn't matter. On that face mask note, which I think is actually really funny, you should still be able to pull up the Chrome browser. In the Chrome browser, there should be a tab on Amazon. And I want to show you guys what's like ridiculous, because literally last night I went and I started looking at face masks because, I didn't want to be hypocritical anymore, right? I didn't want to say we should have known this and then I don't have a mask. So I think hopefully this will bring a little humor to you. But I found this, if you could pull it up, it's a Amazon. It's for fashion masks. I'll go to Chrome. Other Chrome now. Oh, that's okay. Never mind. Forget the masks. We'll just go on. All right. So, yes, wear your mask. Do your thing. Can we cue up the too many gloves clip? So, yeah. So, basically, this story is just what it sounds like. There are gloves everywhere. Okay, I definitely want everyone to take care of themselves. I want you to protect yourself as best as you feel comfortable doing. But let's have some common sense, man. Let's throw these things away. You're gonna create more problems by throwing those things anywhere that you please. And as this video will show you, is that they're mostly being thrown away in parking lots of high trafficked areas like Costco's and grocery stores and those kind of places. So you're literally taking all of if there is infectious, matter on your gloves of all these people in this place, because you're all just throwing them on the ground everywhere, you're going to have like a bigger pool of that infectious matter, right? So you're just like bringing it all to one place. And the idea is to obviously spread it out so it reduces the infection rate. So stop throwing your stuff on the ground, please.
Meantime, some people are wearing gloves to protect themselves while they shop.
All right, so
Problem is, they're tossing them on the ground. Tonight, we're asking if this is a health hazard. CBS 2's Jermon Terry getting answers.
The CDC has told people to protect themselves, and many people are turning to plastic or latex gloves as a form of protection. The only issue, where they are disposing of them, is turning into a new problem. As we deal with this new normal of social distancing during this COVID-19 pandemic, there's a new debris popping up as well. They come in blue, sometimes they're clear. You will find them on lawns and along the curb. It's catching everyone's attention.
When I see these on the ground, I actually think, how disgusting. I've actually been seeing these a couple of times as I'm in large parking lots of large stores.
The gloves are found mostly outside those essential businesses like grocery stores. People are doing their best to not bring the virus home, but as they leave the stores, they're making a huge mistake.
They don't understand how to use them properly, and they definitely don't understand how to dispose of them properly.
Remember, the virus, according to the National Institute of Health, can live on certain surfaces for 24 hours. And recent research shows it can survive on plastic anywhere from 2 to 3 days. So when people are throwing their gloves on the ground, if they came in contact with the virus, the person picking or cleaning things up could be susceptible.
Okay.
So when you are done with the gloves,
'cause I wanted to
here's a
listen to
tip.
this guy
Carry a
talk. Is he the
Ziploc
best?
bag, and then you can roll the glove off safely, put it inside this bag here, seal it tight, and wait till you get to a garbage can and dispose of it properly. It's one way to stop the spread, and most importantly, keep the neighborhood looking good. Reporting in Evergreen Park, Jermont Terry, CBS 2 News.
Yeah, awesome. So basically everything that I just said, right? But with obviously better production. But yeah, stop throwing your damn gloves everywhere. And shout out to that dude because he has literally the best delivery that I've heard of any newscaster. So shouts out to, I think his name is Lamont. I think his name is. All right, cool. So I want to pull up. So I want to shift gears from that. Okay. So I want to start talking. Can you queue up the PIMCO Fed dollar video? So all right. So stimulus checks, right? $1,200. We have the Paycheck Protection Program now for employers and small businesses. There's already an emergency injury disaster loan that the SBA normally gives out that they're kind of augmenting for this specific coronavirus pandemic. So what I want to talk about is what is happening with the Federal Reserve and how it's going to affect us. So I want everyone to for a minute literally think about 2008. So 2008 stock market, 2008 we had the recession, right? Everything crashed. Everybody needed a bailout, right? Do you at home right now, can you make me big again if you don't mind? Do you at home right now, do you actually feel like that period of your life and what the government did to fix that problem, do you feel like it actually benefited you not only in that moment, but now? Do you feel that when they bailed out the banks and the automakers and all these people, did that help you? And I mean on a bigger scale. I don't mean just you knew someone that was able to keep their job at Ford. That's not what I'm talking about, right? Because and I'll be honest with you, and we can have this discussion later about good jobs as opposed to any job, okay? Not every job needs to exist, right? That's why we started getting rid of certain ways that we don't have steam engines anymore, right? So whoever used to build the steam engine, right? People who used to work on those engines, fixing them, right? It's just, we no longer need that technology because we're moving forward in efficiency and how we do things, right? So what I'm saying is in times of crises, right? If we're going to really have a true free market as the majority of America, for sure, but definitely the red team, if we're going to have this free market capitalist system that everybody talks about, that's based on, I think it's Keynesian economics. I can never say that damn name. If we're going to really have that type of system, then we really need to let things fail when they're going to fail. And let me tell you why. If you're continuously saving something, it will never save itself. We literally, that whole mantra, what is it? The fish, right? Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Okay, you're a big multinational bank. If you don't have the money and resources to figure it the fuck out on your own, peace. We should not be saving you. Peace. You have all the resources in the world. There's no reason why you should be failing. You made the mistakes that caused you to fail. For instance, and let me tell you, because you're like, oh, well, banks couldn't have predicted the pandemic. You're right. But neither could any of the Americans at home. Our social safety net should be the tax money that we give to our government that in times of crises comes back to us. Not to the corporations and the financial institutions who had all the resources and decided not to save any of it, because you literally tell the American people, you should be saving your money for times of crisis. You should have a 401k, you should diversify your portfolio and all that bullshit. So what's good for us is not good for you. So corporations don't have to have any fucking savings because they can just go and ask for handouts anytime they want because they're too big to fucking fail. Too big to fail, right? Nah. The American people are too big to fail. We are too big to fail. And I'm going to show you what it's going to look like later when it starts failing here, right? Because that $1,200 check that you all are waiting on, how long have you been waiting for that? How long have you been waiting for $1,200? That's saving grace. It's like a slap in the face, man. Like literally, it's literally a big fuck you from your government when you're now hurting the most. And you're just not their priority. Can we play this video? Can we play this video?
Talk about for a second the dollar and put this in context for us, because we've obviously seen some distortions, a little bit of a dollar strength that probably has less to do with people betting on the U.S. and more to do with a lot of other funding issues going on around the globe. Do we start to see a little bit more balance in the FX market between the U.S. dollar and the rest of the world, or are we just going to have to get comfortable with this idea of outperformance of the dollar?
Well, I think you saw the very typical response of FX markets to a crisis like this. Demand for dollars increased very significantly. The dollar is still the most important currency in global transactions and in reserves. There was a shortage of dollars in the system. Companies were drawing credit lines. And so that pushed up the dollar, which is the usual move you get in a crisis like
Pause
this.
real quick.
However, in the meantime, I think we've seen very important responses from the Fed and other central banks. So as you know, the Fed reactivated many of those
The
FX
problem
swap lines
is I'm hearing
they introduced in the last
so
crisis
the problem.
in
Well, I'm not done with that video, by the way. I just needed to
those
pause.
were
So what they were
which
saying.
which means that the central banks, who are the counterparties,
So what they were
can
saying,
offer
what he's
dollars,
saying is,
in
the
their
dollar is the world's reserve currency. Okay, meaning, like here we don't have the gold standard anymore, right? So other people use the dollar as the metric that they base all of their like assets on. Okay, so British, like when we say what's the exchange rate, like that's how we measure how, you know, a lot of different things in economy, in economics, how well they're doing or whatever. Like what is the pound, the British pound doing against the dollar, right? Like what does that look like, right? So the way it works is because everybody in the world uses the dollar as a reserve currency, right? In addition to all oil transactions, which is why we're always fighting about oil, by the way, in case you're wondering. Our government what we do is, and he's going to talk about it. They're called repos, and it's not repossessions. It's man, I just had it pulled up. It's basically a promise. Let me look it up real quick. What it is my central bank is working with your central bank, so the U.S. central bank, and then the central bank of like the UK or Great Britain. They're each promising to each other that they're going to buy and hold X amount of each other's actual currency, right? So there it is. A repo is a repurchase agreement, right? And so these started in these these FX exchanges. They started during the 2008 banking crisis, right? Because this was how they were trying to save the world. Pump it with money. That's how capitalism works, by the way. Capitalists only know how to make money. They only know how to make money and make more. They only know how to fix problems by throwing money at it. So if all you know how, what is it? If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's literally what these people are doing. And this is the second time, which is why I'm even like attempting to say anything about it. Because like, even if like, I don't know, even if I'm wrong about 30% of this shit, at least we're standing here talking about it and 60% of it was on the right track. That's how I feel. And I'm doing my best to do all the research and get it all right, but there is so much going on. So back to these repurchase agreements, right? So one currency, one central bank that has currency is making an agreement with another central bank that has a currency, and they're saying that they will give this to you at a discounted rate so that you can in turn go lend it to other people. in your local area, right? Because dollars, right? So that's what this guy is saying. When he said the demand for the dollar went up because companies were taking out loans, he's not talking about American companies. He's literally talking about foreign companies. And look, I don't hate foreign companies. But what happened to this whole fucking America First thing, right? What happened to this whole like American exceptionalism? What makes you think that you can go fix somebody else's problems if you can't fix your own? And I understand that the dollar being the world's currency, it does need to be saved, right? But how about this time after we save the world, we fucking get rid of that shit. Whatever made this problem happen again, right? Figure out another world reserve, a reserve currency. How about we all go back to gold, right? Or go to something radical like, I don't know, Bitcoin. I'm not really pumping Bitcoin for this, although it probably is the answer. But if you guys want to use gold, I'm down. Let's go back to gold, right? No one controls gold. You only control as much gold as you have. We control the dollar. We can literally print more money, and we actually are. And that's what he's about to tell you. He's literally about to tell you that he literally says the words, open the floodgates. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is because this has nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing. Nothing that no money's going to your bank account. No, that's not going to help your fucking kids. Nothing. It's all about them. Can we, Internet lag. They heard me. Feds got us. They shut it down.
2009. So those were reactivated, which means that the central banks, who are the counterparties, can offer dollars in their domestic markets to their financial institutions. And then the latest step yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, was that the Fed is now allowing foreign central banks that hold treasuries with the New York Fed to repo those and obtain dollars. So basically the Fed is opening up the floodgate, is giving the global markets, global financial institutions and corporates the dollars that they need. And I think that probably means that we are at, or at least close to, the peak for the US dollar. We've seen some currencies depreciating very rapidly, very far, particularly in emerging markets, and we may now have seen the worst of those depreciations. And my expectation would be that the dollar will not appreciate further, but will rather, start to
you can play.
depreciate.
That was
Talk
it.
about for a
I wanted you to hear that. He said the dollar is going to start to depreciate, right? So when the dollar depreciates, your buying power goes down because your dollar is now worth less. Okay? So because we have I'm so sorry. We're going to get this fixed next time, I promise. So because we have embedded ourselves as the world's reserve currency, and we've pretty much economically taken over the world, and as a literal virus, attached ourselves to every host possible, now we're also too big to fail, right? So who's a priority now? You or them? I implore all of you to look up Austrian economics. It literally talks about an actual free market. An actual free market where, hey, if you fuck it up, it's on you, man. Yeah, I'm a small business owner. I just started a business a year ago, right? If I would have pissed all my money away over the past year, I would not be in business right now, right? But should I be saved for that because I made poor financial decisions? And I know there's people that know economics way better than I do. And you know what? I actually find it to be in my favor that I don't know as much. Because when we break things down to the simplest level, if I can teach a 5-year-old this, then that's probably what's best for humanity, right? Not saying that humans only understand 5-year-old stuff, but you understand what I'm saying? When you make it so damn complicated, that's when you can start pulling the fucking shade over people's eyes and getting over on them and taking all their shit and not even they don't even know what's happening. They did it to us once in 2008 and they're going to do it to us again now. And so I want you to pay attention, right? Do yourself, protect the family around you, and I need you to start voting. I need you to start paying attention to the political process. The reason why these people are able to do these things is because our government is bought and paid for by the people that run the upper echelon of our economy. And the only trickle-down effect that we get from that is what they give us. There's no trickle-down economy like natural free market. No, hell no. It's what they give us. People forget we had to fight for a 40-hour work week and a minimum wage. A minimum fucking wage that's $7.25 right now nationally. First of all, that's how they got that $1,200, by the way. Look that up. Do you ever wonder how they got $1,200? They did some well, usually mental gymnastics is all in your head, right? But they did literally physical gymnastics on paper with a pen. They took that $7.25 and they figured it out to be $1,200. That's what you get for now. So that's whack, right? And so the reason why I'm talking about the dollar and the decrease of your purchasing power and what a decreasing dollar could mean for stability is because this next story, it's the OC seniors. So this is what happens when economies get so bad that people start really feeling it, right? What they do is they start turning on each other. And I don't want you to turn on each other. I don't want you to turn on me. I don't want to turn on you. So if we talk about it now, we talk about the things that are going to happen, we could protect ourselves ideally, which is what our government didn't do when this whole thing fucking started. They knew it was going to come. The shit's been around since January. I'm not making that up, by the way. It has been around already. Unfortunately, Jeff, the individual I had, the data engineer that I had last time, who's covering COVID with spatial stats, he's doing maps and stats that are showing the infection rate. One of the things that he was telling me was like, they're not counting the people who have already gotten better, like from January, you know? And again, I'm not saying it just to say it or speculate or whatever, but I was so damn sick in January. It was nothing I've never felt in my life. And I if I had to put some money on it, I bet you it was this shit, right? I felt like death. I have text messages. I probably should pull them up next time. But me messaging people like, yo, I feel like absolute fucking death, man. I've never felt this before. So we knew it was happening. We knew it was coming. We knew when Wuhan started blowing up and all those people were becoming affected, and the measures that China took to fix it. It wasn't even like they just had a fucking problem and couldn't figure it out. And I'm not even here to debate the numbers of actual dead people in China. I don't even care about that. You guys can fucking pay attention to that all you want. I ask that you don't, because that's what they want you to pay attention to. They want you to just watch hours worth of fucking news coverage on China lying about how many people are dead in Wuhan. Who gives a fuck? I'm sorry that those people died, but I don't care that they're not reporting the right number. We know China never wants to have egg on their face. Didn't we say that about power? Power never wants to look stupid. So they're not going to tell you the fucking truth. So what I'm saying is I want us to understand that this is what is going to start happening, okay? I understand that a lot of you are not working right now. A lot of people are not working. And that $1,200 check is not coming soon enough. And the reality is that, 60% of Americans, 40% of Americans, something like that. A $400 emergency bill would destroy you, right? Over like 55, 60% of Americans, only have $1,000 in the bank. That's why that $400 throws you for a loop, because now you only got $600. As this gets worse for you, I need you to not turn on your neighbor. Okay? I get it. It's gonna be rough. I predict that it's gonna get really rough. And so I'm going to show you two videos. The first video I'm going to show you is this is an example of people turning on each other, okay? It's not a literal because there's no money, okay? But this is a senior community, right? Is situated near a hotel, okay? And the homeless population has become infected with COVID-19. Well, not the entire population, but individuals who are homeless who are currently infected with COVID-19 obviously deserve the same human rights of healthcare as anyone else, especially in this moment. So federal government needed to find a place to put these patients, homeless or not, to put these other patients and house them while they were going through, it was a quarantine, basically. So government, the way all government contracts work, all government contracts, whether it's City of Chicago, City of Brownsville, pretty sure City of Brownsville, I haven't asked anyone there yet, but City of Chicago, federal government, when I was in the fucking Air Force, lowest bidder. Always the lowest bidder. So in the story, they're going to tell you that this was the hotel that fit the requirements that the government had to house these people. Okay? And I see both sides of this story. I see both sides. So I'll tell you what I think after we watch it. So you can play it. Yeah.
Outrage is growing in an Orange County retirement community tonight over a plan to house coronavirus patients at a nearby hotel. Senior citizens are fighting and taking a stand.
They staged a pretty raucous protest in Laguna Woods. KCAL 9 Orange County reporter Stacy Butler talked to them about what they're afraid of.
Horn-honking, sign-wielding seniors aren't having it. They don't want homeless COVID-positive patients sheltering in this hotel feet from their retirement community.
Why would they put this right near where we live? This is where we live, right across the street. That's where we shop, the drugstore, the grocery store.
Governor Newsom has said, take care of the seniors. Is this how our county supervisors are taking care of the seniors?
The average age is 76 here in the village. We got a lot of people at risk. This shouldn't be happening.
In a last-minute closed meeting tonight, the Laguna Woods City Council met to discuss the lease signed by the county. Barraged with complaints from angry Laguna Woods Village residents, Orange County Supervisor for the area, Lisa Bartlett, told us this was not her decision. She says it wasn't even the Board of Supervisors' decision. While she's not for it, she says residents need to accept it. The emergency mandate came from the governor directly to the Emergency Operations Center to immediately shelter infected homeless in motels and hotels across the state. Bartlett says Ayers Hotel was the only one that met the state guidelines and offered help.
This is the complete lockdown isolation unit. They are not free to come and go. They don't get visitors. From the time they enter, virtually 100% of the services will be done on site. The healthcare workers that are going to be coming into the facility, they will be following the same health and safety protocols that are used in hospitals.
As an extra safety precaution, Bartlett says the health
I always do that. So seniors in a retirement community, I assume. And then we have a hotel that's empty for obvious reasons, right? So this is what I mean by like, don't turn on each other. I understand the like immense fear of the seniors, right? Because we're literally saying the most at risk part of our communities are the seniors, right? And you know, as more data has come, I mean, we're noticing that like everyone across the age spectrum is being afflicted, but for sure seniors, right? Obviously immunocompromised systems, and you know, so because how to say this, what is the mutually beneficial relationship? What is the middle ground, right? The state is ensuring that the individuals that are going to be housed in that area are not like free range chickens, okay? They're literally going to be like as if they were in a hospital however many miles down the road. I assume they're going to be mostly bed bound, right? Otherwise, they probably wouldn't need to be staying in the hospital as long. Even if it's just to ride out their illness, like maybe they're ambulatory, they can walk. Ambulatory, they can walk. Maybe they can walk now, right? But they're not going to let them go out because they're still infected, okay? So I understand the fear of those people there, but what do you want us to do? Where do we put them? Where do we put those people? I applaud the civic action. I applaud them standing up for themselves and saying, we don't want this. I don't have to agree with what they're saying, but there should be some form of compromise there. There should be some form of like at least a discussion, because from what, and again, this is just a news report, so the media does what they do, right? But usually when large groups of people like that are out in the street creating problems, is because nobody's heard what they had to say in the first place. And like they said, the state just said, hey, you got to deal with it. We're putting them here. That's not how you govern. That's not how you fucking ease the concerns and the pains of the people that you govern. Like, these people are scared. You saw how scared that lady was? That shit made me feel awful. It makes me feel awful for like even making the assertion that, yeah, we have to put those people in that hotel, right? Obviously, like, every part of me wants to be like, man, fuck those people. That lady's scared. I'm going to save her. But we have to make decisions that are for the greater good. Okay? The greatest good for the greatest amount of people. Letting these infected homeless people run around the streets without treatment, A, harms them. B, will in turn eventually get you anyways. So the most safe measure that we can take right now is to quarantine them in this facility. I'm sorry it's in your backyard. Had nowhere else to put it. It's a literal fucking hotel. Where am I going to get another hotel? And again, for whatever planning line items that they had for the to secure that contract, it ticked all the boxes. It did what it had to do, and they got to get it going. So again, don't turn on each other. Find a way to communicate and figure out like what's this middle ground. How can we like not start eating each other? This is another thing that so this is out of India. I wanted to share this because I really feel like oftentimes what happens to us when we're in a time of like pain, I don't want to do that thing where like, oh, whatever's happened to you now, like, it doesn't matter, someone else has it worse. I'm not doing that. But I do want to put into perspective where we are right now and what it looks like when shit gets out of hand and you have no foresight or forethought from your government. So basically what happened was Modi in India shut down the country. It was like 21 days. He gave the country, I believe it was a 4-hour notice. Shut down the country. Now in India, if you don't know, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, is the day labor force is like 150 million people, something like that. And I think it's upwards of 90% of that day labor workforce, are migrants. Okay? This was from a couple days ago. The issue is still obviously lingering now, but this was like the initial like, whoa. These are the images of all the migrant workers trying to get home. You got a 4-hour notice that everything's on lockdown, which means everything's shut, which means there's no jobs, no money, and no guidance from your government. Modi said that he was going to transport all these people home. This is what Modi told him. He said, first it was, we're going to provide you buses and we're going to get you all home. What do you think happened at the bus stations when you have, I don't know, what's 90% of 150 million? Within 4 hours, like, we got to get out of here. Chaos, man. Oh, this is the disinfectant one, not this one. Well, no, that's fine. Play this. This is part of it. This is part of what starts happening. So this was a couple days into all these migrants moving. Find another one. This was another video. All these people are leaving. They literally sprayed them with disinfectant. Right? Remember what I said, but I don't turn on your neighbor? And I understand that India has this totally different social structure than here. But that's why I'm showing you this. Because this is what starts happening, right? He's literally fucking spraying these people, and they're sitting there because, in addition to all of this, you could shut that down now. In addition to all of this, the police were running around and like caning people, and like literally ripping people off the scooters and hauling them off to jail because they were violating the lockdown order. I don't want that to start happening here in that manner, but let me tell you what's going to happen when your dollar decreases in buying power. And first of all, when you don't even have any more dollars because you haven't worked for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And not only did you not work, now you blew through whatever savings you had because what did we just have a couple of days ago? Did you all have rent due or your mortgage or your light bill or your kids, whatever, that business decided that they weren't going to put a moratorium on because they're trying to stay alive too? Or what am I missing? A phone bill, right? All kinds of crap. And the reality is our whole economy is based on credit. So I'm almost certain that a good portion of everyone that's actually listening to this right now or in the future has some credit card debt or student debt or that mortgage I was talking about or an auto loan or whatever. So what are you going to do in a couple months when you got no money? Because you know what I see is slowly happening is our supply chains are going to stay in place because there's a consolidation of power right now. Our supply chains are going to stay in place. So Amazon's still going to be there. The large like agriculture, like Purdue, like we're still going to have chicken, right? All that shit's going to still go. But what's going to happen is you're going to go to the store to get food and you're not going to have any money. Then what are you going to do? That's when the craziness starts. That's when the madness happens. People don't have money. What's our unemployment rate right now? Do you know? I can look it up. Right here. Actually, I have it fucking right here. I think we're at it's not 6 million. Is it 10 million? No, it's not 10 million. It was 3.3 last week. All right, we're at 13% right now. 13% unemployment. That's absolutely absurd. I don't even know when we've ever seen this. What was it? 6 million people the other day had filed for unemployment. People were waiting on the phone for hours to get through with unemployment. And there's so much misinformation and just lack of information as far as what is going on? What are we supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to file here? Am I supposed to file here? Even myself, I got caught up in that mix for my business. I filled out three different applications for what I assumed to be the same thing because it was coming from 3 different places. And in my mind, it's hey, put your name on the damn list. Put your name on the list, or if you're going to be at the way back of the line. On that note, there are a bunch of resources available to you now. If you haven't already figured out what those are, if you own a business, go to sba.gov. Figure it out from there, or talk to your bank. Actually, if you go to your bank now, they'll help you out too. Well, their website. And like I said, I know unemployment for most people who are working, who don't own a business, that's really your only recourse for this. But I just keep trying, okay? If there's an electronic way to do it, do your best to fill out that electronic form and go from there. Okay, did you find a Mass India kind of thing? No? That's okay, don't worry about it. Hey, it's... Oh, okay, that's fine. Look it up for yourself. Look up India day labor migration. I've never seen this many people in one place moving. It is absolutely wild. And they're scratching at each other, pulling each other off buses and shit, trying to get in. Some places, for the most part, to be honest, it was eerily orderly though, right? Everybody's kind of just moving. But there's so many of them. I mean, these people are talking about walking 700 kilometers home. 700. Because there was a lockdown. and Modi didn't send enough buses. And then he told people, I wasn't Modi, but it was some other government official was on, whatever television, saying, everyone stay in place. We're going to give you food. We're going to bring you shelter. You're going to be fine. Just find the videos and watch them for yourself, and you tell me if you think those people are going to be fine. All right. I want to talk about... Can you call Mobley and see if we can get him on the line? I will... Probably should have asked you to do that like 5 minutes ago. That's okay. So... one second. I don't even mind if we pause this real quick. So if you guys, there's on the side of your screen, or if you're watching on your phone, there should be a way for you to chat. So if you have any questions or you have any comments, feel free to jump in the chat real quick. I can see it right here. So if you ask me a question, I'll respond in real time. I'll do my best to answer with the information that I have. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know. Or I'm going to tell you this is what I think I know. Right? Whatever. So yeah. I want to eventually, hopefully we can get Mobley on the line in the next few minutes, but if we don't, that's okay too. Yeah, it should be last call. So the Navy. Let's talk about the Navy. Let's have the Navy talk. No, there's no Navy talk. So basically, there was a naval ship, had a bunch of sailors on it. COVID-19 started to run awry, and this is where the story gets a little muddled. So the captain of the ship, I believe that's his title, he was trying to get help for all the people on his ship, right? He was trying to sound the alarm. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know what he did previously as far as like I don't know what channels he used originally to get word out about the people that were sick on the ship. But this letter is circulating now. This memo that he wrote. That's okay. This memo that he wrote. Hold on, let me pause this real quick before we get Mobley on the line. Or mute that. So, here, let me message this dude real quick too. So this memo is circulating that got leaked. He basically wrote this memo and he sent it to a bunch of people, like saying, hey, like, I got people on this ship that are going to die if you don't help me help these people. So again, I don't know if he told his chain of command and they ignored him or what. But he eventually drafted this memo, and obviously, you'll see it in this story. Like, they'll highlight the part where he says, we're not at war and people don't need to die, which is, I'm 50-50 with that, because honestly, I feel like we should fight the pandemic like we fight every other war. We'd have, well, how about that? You'd think we'd have everything we need, but if you went to Iraq twice, you'd know how we fight wars. It eventually gets there with what the fuck we need. So anyways, I think we should fight the pandemic like we fight wars, which means we throw massive amounts of resources at it to fucking kill it. Because we have the best military in the world, like hands down. Like no one can fuck with us. That's why no one does. Not least in a traditional military sense. So why are we not able to do this for fucking healthcare? Why are we not able to fight this in the same way that we do every other war? I literally look at nurses now and individuals who are law enforcement, like, police out here protecting people and trying to, just keep the peace. Like, these people are at war right now. There's a scourge destroying everything that we built. Whether I agree with everything we built or not, it's being destroyed by something, and it's taking all of us with it. So one of the things that people are talking about is the Defense Production Act, I believe it's called, where you mandate to the businesses in your country, the United States, The president tells him, hey, I need you to build these things. I need you to make masks. I need you to make gowns. I need you to make latex gloves. Well, latex gloves probably not, because I think it's like, I don't know, 80% of latex gloves are made in Malaysia or something. Because of the trees and stuff are already over there. But we don't have that, right? We didn't get a all hands on deck. Battle stations, everyone. Let's go. This is what we've been training for. We got a portion of that from the hospitals for sure. But I wish I had it queued up, but I don't. But I implore you to go online and look at the PPE, the protective equipment, personal protective equipment that other countries that kind of got it a little right. What those people, those healthcare workers were wearing as opposed to what ours were wearing. Trash bags. We have like, why? Look, I'm all about this. I love the ingenuity of the American people. And I love how in times of crisis, we all come together and fucking help out. But like, homeboy on my Facebook feed shouldn't be doing a drive for masks. He should be at home quarantining like the rest of us. Not saying he's wrong for doing the drive, but I'm saying he shouldn't have to do that because it should have had already been done by our government. Did we get Mobley? He just didn't answer? Okay, no worries. So go ahead and play the clip with the naval captain. Military dude. So yeah, so back to this one. So basically this guy, he was fired. And this is what happens when power has egg on its face. Apparently that's the theme of today's show.
The Navy says
speaking truth to power gets you fucked. This man spent a good portion of his life in the military. He made it all the way up to be the captain of this massive ship. He got to a point where his crew admired him, and you'll see how they feel about him as he was walking off the ship. But because he sounded the alarm and said, hey, and listen, I'm all about good order and discipline for the military. It definitely did something for me, whether good, I'm still undecided about it. But I understand that for the military to work the way that it does, you need good order and discipline, right? But that's part of why I left the military. Sometimes there's no deviation from the rules at all. Or the rules are so damn subjective, there's so much gray area. It's like circumstantial on what actually happens in that instance. Because you think this is the first time that anyone's ever been relieved of power because, and they use the same fucking line every time, the leadership lost faith in his abilities to lead. He's going to say some stupid shit like that, saying that he lost the ability to lead his ship. He lost the faith of his leadership and the faith of those who he commands, or some shit like that. You tell me, as these people are chanting his name, if he lost their faith, if he's no longer fit to lead them.
Lester.
All right, Miguel, thanks very much. The Navy says at least 137 sailors aboard the aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt have tested positive amid growing criticism over the firing of the ship's captain, who pleaded for help to stop the outbreak. NBC's Courtney Cubie on the extraordinary scene as the captain left his ship.
The Navy may have fired Captain Brett Crozier, but his sailors would not let him go quietly. Chanting his name, sailors swarmed to say goodbye to Crozier, who sounded the alarm about a growing coronavirus outbreak on board the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Before departing, Crozier turned to wave farewell. Earlier this week, he begged Navy leaders to help the ship's crew in a letter first reported by the San Francisco Chronicle. "We are not at war," he wrote. "Sailors do not need to die." Acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly says Crozier sent the letter to multiple people on an unclassified server rather than going directly to his leadership.
To me, that demonstrated extremely poor judgment in the middle of a crisis. because what it's done, it's created a firestorm.
But critics say Crozier was dismissed for speaking out and trying to protect his sailors.
The administration is not going to be able to fire their way out of this problem.
In a statement to NBC News, a group of sailors on board the aircraft carrier agreed, saying Secretary Modly has turned a military crisis operation into a political reprisal, adding that Captain Crozier has the full faith and confidence of this crew. In an interview today, Acting Secretary Modly called firing Crozier the hardest thing he's ever had to do. Lester?
All right. Courtney, thank you. There was new evidence today of
So you see what happens when you speak out. Obviously, power is going to have its take on the story, and the individuals involved are going to have theirs. Now, again, I can personally tell you, because they said that he went outside and used non-secure channels to disseminate this email, which, yeah, that's wrong. You don't do that. Unless you've been ignored. And again, they're not going to admit that he said it to someone else and someone else was like, hey, man, chill. Do you know what it'll look like to the world if they find out that we have an outbreak of COVID-19 on a Navy vessel? Do you know that the world's going to think we're weak? That they could just come take us? That's literally how they fucking think. That's how power thinks. Power thinks as soon as you show the slightest shred of... And this isn't even weakness, man. This is like literally humanity. Humans are fucking dying. So as soon as you show that, don't bring them in yet, sorry. So as soon as you show that, right, they feel threatened. They feel vulnerable. It's not true, man. This is the problem. The problem is that we're not being honest with each other, right? When they said that he didn't use proper channels. I worked at a very large company for a very short time. It was like 18 months. And some of y'all who know me will know the story. And for brevity, I'm not going to go into the whole details. But I literally sat in a room for almost a whole year and told 3 different fucking managers all the problems that were going on and all the shit that was about to hit the fan. And it took a little bit over a year to hit the fan, and it finally did. And when it did, every single one of them had nothing to say about everything that I told them. When I sat in a room with them and they were like, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. They were fucking listening. They weren't taking notes. They didn't up-channel the notes to anyone above me. Because when I had to talk to those people, they had no idea what I had been saying for a whole year. And then they wanted to fire me. They did. They wanted to fire me. Literally, their response to me calling out all the bullshit, and I did it in the most respectful way until the end. And I still tactfully and respectfully, but I let everyone know they were full of shit. And where they all failed as leaders, I went around the room and I said, you did this and you failed this way, and you did this and you failed this way. I knew that I was leaving after I did that. I knew that they were going to try to fire me after they did that. I've seen it before. I would say that one of the first times in my adult life that I saw it was when I was in the military, relieving people of command for, whether lawful or not. I mean, some people were crazy. Like, there was colonels looking at porn and shit on their computer at work. Like, yeah, get out of here, dude. I've lost faith in you too. Take that shit home. Do it at home. What's wrong with you? So anyways, yeah, try to fire me. Literally, their answer to me calling people out was to put me on paperwork, which we all know when you go back to your jobs, if you don't. The first step in firing you is putting you on a paper trail, because that's all for legal reasons. That's for the law. It's for HR. It has nothing to do with rehabilitating your behavior. Fuck no. They don't care about you, first of all. That's a whole nother discussion. All right, so we got Mo on the line? Yeah? Oh, let me unpause this so I can hopefully hear him. Mo, how you doing? You there? I got no audio from my guy. Are you on mute? Let me see. He was on mute earlier during that sound check. No? Nothing? All right. He's going to get you he's going to get your mic going, and then we'll get you linked back in, okay? But stay there. Stay on the line with Hector. He'll keep you going. Just keep talking to him. I know you don't. Can you get me on the main? Put me on main projector out. Just me. I'll talk through this. This is the only thing I'm good at is fucking talking. Okay, so basically, yeah. So military guy. Again, I understand. Back? Oh, I can hear you now. All right, let's pull Mo back in. Sorry about that technical difficulty. All right, Mo, did you
Check.
how you doing today, by the way?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, say it again.
How are you doing today?
I'm delighted.
Awesome. Hey, so I want to give you an opportunity to basically share with everyone, excuse me, who you are. Just brief, whatever you want to tell people. I'm this is what I do. And then I want to ask your opinion on a story I just shared.
Well, first off, it was an hour-long opinion that you just shared. So I had to take my notepad out, and I took a lot of notes.
For sure.
I have some opinions of yours that I share, and I have some opinions of yours that I think differently about.
That's why we're doing this thing.
So that's why I wrote these things down. But I don't know. I'm a 30-something, hometown Chicago, Illinois, currently in San Antonio. Full-time dad, homemaker, student, veteran, OG, triple OG, whatever you want to call me.
My guy.
Whatever it is, just put full-time in front of it.
All right, so let's jump into it. What are your thoughts?
I'm just a guy. I'm just an ordinary guy,
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Navy ousting this captain?
So I just got I've actually read the letter. And what I think is that no matter what he would have done in that situation, he would have been wrong. So him sounding the alarm was in essence what we understand. Like, I agree with you. In the military, they don't really that wasn't really what it was. He lost command of his ship. It wasn't that. It's like you said, he exposed a weakness in our armor. Hey, this ship has this capability. This ship has this many soldiers. This ship is, it's responsible for this. You just don't. That's one of those things. You don't do that. We spent our whole career learning about operational security,
right?
Communication security.
Right.
You just don't do that.
So did you hear? So, and again, this is a hypothetical because I don't know exactly what happened, but from personal experience, how many times have you went to leadership in any fashion, whether it was military or civilian, and you went to someone and you told them something, and they said, "Yeah, I got you. We're gonna take care of it," and then they did it. Even if you put it in an email, even if you wrote it in an email to your leadership.
Yeah, I used to document all my things because I just learned after a while. And that's one of those things, it's like it becomes survival of the fittest. Some things you learn just from being burned so many times, right? So whenever inspection time comes around, and that's what I think the civilian world really doesn't understand either. You have quarterly inspections, yearly inspections, so on and so forth. And if you're a program manager, if you were the security manager, but me, I was in charge of training. So there were certain things where, I sounded the alarm, hey, and I would send out 4-page emails and I would get a phone call, hey, chill out, bro. Nobody's going to read this. Nobody cares. And when you're trying to fix something, that's not the thing that you want to hear. So you learn very quickly, hey, look, I documented it. The problem's here. And you can't come back and say that I didn't try. And then you move on.
Yeah, but what do you do so what do you do in a life or death situation though, right? I mean, so this man is literally tasked with the lives of the thousands, because it was a pretty big ship. I assume it was going to be thousands on that ship, definitely hundreds, right? He's tasked with the livelihood of these people, right? This thing has gone on X amount of days now. He's seeing the infection rates rise on his ship. Again, I don't know what channels he previously used, but this person felt, and he knew, like he already knew what was going to happen when he wrote this letter to all these other people on a non-secure channel. Obviously, someone leaked it. I mean, I doubt that that's what he wanted, but do you not find justification in like, my back's against the wall, I have to take care of these people even at my own detriment?
I mean, like I said, I think that he did. I mean, it was evident he got sent off, with applause from his sailors. So, like I said, no matter what he would have done in that situation, it would have been the wrong thing. And so I think, like you said, this is when you say like you said it earlier, when you talked about how we don't communicate effectively. It's not a top-down approach. And what's going on right now? We're attempting to do this in a top-down way. And so this guy holding such a prestigious position, you don't expose weakness in our armor. You just don't do it. Like I said, we know that. We know that from day one, entering the military. So like I said, this guy's a commander. He's an officer. And so that's another reason why, this is a parachute for this guy in military terms. He's just going to go to somewhere else, not somewhere that just doesn't have as much publicity. And he's going to, retire with a nice paycheck and, he's going to go write a book and he's going to be on Fox News or CNBC or CNN, later on down the
Yeah, no, I know. I get it. It's just, he is going to be okay, right? Like, most likely, history tells us that people that attain his level in our armed forces, when they get out, almost irregardless, apparently that's not a real word, almost regardless of how they left even, they're going to be okay on the outside. But I think that was his motivation. Like, he was taking care of his people. So anyways, I just think it's shitty. It's something I wanted to talk about and wanted to call out. Again, I don't get to make the laws or anything. I just get to be the person that decides what I think is best, for me and what I think the world should be. And I think it's really unfortunate that in this circumstance, I understand precedent. I understand that previously when someone has done something of this manner, they have to set an example because, right? Like as a cancer, it will spread. But he's not cancerous, man. He wasn't like, there was no mutiny and he wasn't conspiring against anything. He was literally just trying to save these people's lives. And I think especially right now, compassion is the one thing that we need. So imagine if compassion came from our military in for this type of instance, what that would do for the nation. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, even with the military, I only think that the military can help so much. Being that it's a certain percentage of the population, and so and this is a first for everybody. This is the first time that we've seen sports leagues shut down, all concerts, Broadway plays, all activity. This is the first time we've seen that, and I mean, your parents haven't seen this, so you have to understand how unique it is. So that, that's just to me, like if I sit back, it's just kind of it's really surreal.
Cool.
Look at my son's 3, so when he gets old, I have to explain to him, like, look, we shut down everything. We stopped everything, airlines, the whole 9 yards. We stopped everything, because of a pandemic. So this is something that you would read in a book. Now we're living through it in real life. So, I think everybody has to take everything that's happening right now. We have to share everybody's experiences. Like you said, don't turn on each other. Let's just share experiences, find solutions. If it works, it works. As far as the market, I have a perspective on that. I agree with you and, having a free market but that's not the system that's currently in occupation right now. This is good old American capitalism.
Right. So that's kind of like, again, that's why I started this whole channel, right? Like, I know I'm putting myself out on a limb. I'm going on the internet and I'm talking all kinds of shit. And it's funny because I was thinking about it last night. When I was younger, my mom used to tell me I would be president someday, and it's cool. I appreciate that. But I know that by doing things like this, I'm probably going to prevent myself from ever being able to be president one day. Which, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Because in the same way that captain, sacrificed himself. I'm not saying I'm a sacrificial lamb or anything, but literally, power means nothing to me. I don't want. Everyone has certain limitations of power. and however big my power limits get doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is helping people. Like that's what gets me going, right? So
Bro, the mayor of DC got caught in a hotel room on camera smoking crack with a
oh, that
prostitute
was
and got
no, that was
reported.
homeboy. That was
Yeah,
Ford in
Mayor
Canada.
Barry. Oh, they're the
Yeah, I think it's
Canadian.
Canadian. But you're right. No, but
Yeah.
you're right in the sense that and I appreciate that. I appreciate that because we got a pussy grabber as president, right?
I'm not saying that you should go smoke crack, but at the end of the day, like, bro, it's one of those things. Look at Bernie's old clips, bro. Like Bernie was just not popular back in the day. Like back in the day, you could call people homosexuals, and it was one of those things where you really were the black sheep. It's not that way anymore. We're more accepting now of people around us, especially here in America. I would say that. Other countries, you might not have that same dynamic. But that's another thing that I think is an underlying thing that's going to happen. It's going to come out of all this. There's going to be a shift in culture. How we treat each other, how we look at each other. It's going to be a big shift. It's really interesting to see.
Right. No, I know. I'm with you. But I appreciate that. Like I said, I don't know if you heard me or not, but our current president did a lot of foul shit, and they still elected him. Although I don't want to be elected like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not for me. But either way, yeah. So that's what's important to me. So I wanted to ask you how I don't have any kids, and you mentioned you mentioned your son earlier. How are you handling that? Being at home with him, even though it's. I mean, he's young, right? So you're normally with him all the time, but now it's a little bit different, right? So how is that affecting your family, or what? How's that working out for you?
The main thing is finding things for us to do. So as a human, I'm only so creative. So I go to the internet, I look for things. That's going to be another side project or side thing that I have to say. It's a big data grab. But as a human, I go and look for things, just trying to be creative with my son. But still, there's places that I would normally take him, as a consumer, right? So one place that I normally take him is the trampoline park. That's a big, that's the number one place that you can go right now to catch the coronavirus, right? And so like you said earlier this year was the sickest that you've ever been. My wife will tell you the same thing. I slept in the same spot for 3 days. I sweat. I had aches and pains and didn't want to eat anything. And, it was one of those things. But my son had been diagnosed with the flu 2 weeks earlier. So, I figured he had it 2 weeks earlier. I love you. I figured he had it 2 weeks earlier. So, it would be a matter of time before I caught it. And with my wife, bro, I think it's with all women when they have children, they have a special type of immunity, whether it be the prenatal vitamins. She hasn't took any lately, but, like my wife doesn't get sick. Like even during the pregnancy, like that's one thing she just didn't get sick.
Yes.
So, and she still hasn't been sick through all of this. So, so that's interesting to me. But, I just say that to say, with my son, bro, like I said, I would take him to the museum, the trampoline park, the aquarium, places like that, just to get him out. Open up his little pathways in his brain, take him to the park, stuff like that. But even if you take him to the park by our house, there's 85 people there now. You don't normally see that.
Right.
Normally people don't. So everybody's at home now. So everybody's using the park. So the mayor of San Antonio comes out and says, hey, I'm going to shut down the parks.
Right.
On certain days. So now what does that put you?
Yeah.
So people start to get cabin fever. People start to get.
Yeah, and that's happening to all of us. Like I think we're all going a little crazy, right? And that definitely fuels my desire to do this even more so. But I wanted to ask you two things. We'll start with this. What is going on in San Antonio? What direction are you being given by the local government there?
All right. So, and I just screenshot these things just so I can keep track of them from day to day. This is my way of processing data, right? So like on my photos, I'll just keep track of I know people think it's insensitive if I say body count, but that's really what I keep track of, the numbers. Um, so San Antonio, so like you talked about earlier, the senior citizens, right? In one zip code, I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you this picture to your phone, and look at and you're from San Antonio, so you
I'm
know
telling people my secrets,
the
guy.
zip code. This one zip code. Say again.
Go ahead.
Here it is. But look at 78222. Look at that graphic.
I don't have it. It'll come. It's in the thing. It's in the queue.
All right. So anyway, in one zip code, we've got 20 plus cases. That's the most in any zip code in San Antonio. So if you look at that if you look at data, you're going to ask why, right? That pops out to you. And you know what that is? That's one nursing home. That's one nursing facility. So my zip code is 1 to 4 cases. But if you look at that 78222, you're like, man, what's going on there?
Okay, so what is the local government? What is the mayor telling you? What is the governor of Texas telling you? That's what I want to know.
Stay home unless you're essential, unless you're an essential business, which that's a variety of things. So we saw in Florida, or the pastor that went to jail. Here in Texas, the governor says, hey, you're free to just have your church services. You can do what you need to do. Just make sure you guys are practicing the proper protocols. So that's one thing that we differ from here in Texas. That's nationwide that I've seen. As far as my wife goes, she works at a supermarket chain. So they've been deemed essential personnel. Now here recently, they just started practicing the whole social distancing thing. So allowing certain customers or a certain amount of customers into the store, they all work the same shift now. And then they have a shift now, and they just break it down. One portion of the shift, they clean. One portion of the shift, they work the register. And every 30 minutes, somebody's cleaning. And so if somebody watches the door, they make sure, that's just how they operate now. They don't do any ordering in the store anymore. It comes from the corporate office. The corporate office is tracking everything now.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I think is going to start happening as we're gonna start seeing certain businesses fail, and it's not even that and it's not even like what I was kind of talking about earlier about too big to fail kind of thing. I mean, these are like whatever kind of chips you like. This random Bark Thins for whatever reason comes to my mind. Like a company like that right now, like the shit that you buy at Marshall's, like those random ass brands and things, like those are all going to start getting closed, right? Because those are like the smaller businesses. They're not Chase Bank, they're not Home Depot, like they're not these massive companies, right? So what's going to happen is all these companies are going to start closing down, and then you're going to have less things on the shelf. So when you're telling me right now that your wife's supermarket is tracking the trends and the corporate office is sending orders as opposed to the local stores ordering from corporate, that's because, they know what people want. Obviously, it's like, gloves and all that stuff. But there's just going to be less things going around. So where before we had maybe 14 types of potato chips, we're going to have 5, Stuff like that, I believe is going to start happening. So that's crazy. It's cool to hear that that little piece of information from the store. So yeah, before you jump off the line, and I want to make this really quick, but I want to do a Bitcoin check. Can you see my video, Mo?
Do I see what?
My video?
Your video?
Do you see me in the corner?
No, I didn't see your video.
Okay, never mind. Don't worry about the video. I'm going to show this thing. I'm going to show this clip to everyone out there. I was hoping that you could see it as well, but if not, that's okay. We're literally just going to do a Bitcoin price check. I just want to see what the price of Bitcoin is right now. So Hector's going to pull that up for us. So I think really it's important in this time.
It is right now. It's 68.55.
68.55. Well, I'm going to pull it up for people to see at home as well on the chart. As we're looking this up, I want to ask your opinion. Because I know you do a lot of, if I may divulge this information, you do a lot of stock trading and stuff like that, or you dabble, if you will. And what do you think about the idea that people should be holding cash right now?
I think this is all smoke and mirrors. This whole time has been smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
And so if you look at what's happened throughout all of this, throughout this whole, Donald Trump has been the bull in the China shop. Trump has made the global economy unstable with tariffs. If you couldn't survive before, it's like you said, it's the free market. If you couldn't survive before, you're not going to survive now, right? So like you talked about the dollar is really strong right now. That's because of Trump's actions, right?
Well, there's yes and no.
So here it is. What the Fed has done is, like you said, they printed money, right? $6 trillion we just printed, right? Like they're crazy. You can't even fathom that amount of money, right? $6 trillion. This is just our central bank that's created this amount of liquidity. What about the other central banks?
Well, they're getting their liquidity from us, like I said earlier.
But I'm just saying, like we flooded we flooded the world with all this liquidity now. And so, like you said, with the cash, the dollars, that's where it is. You want money? Come to the United States. If you want, I mean, we're the global powerhouse.
So
we're probably going to come out of this. I think what's going to happen is we're going to be forced to move our supply chains back here.
Oh, you mean like they're going to bring jobs back home?
We're going to have to.
Yeah.
And then, so here it is. We've already given tax breaks to the rich, right? We've reduced the capital gains tax.
So you know what this whole stimulus, this whole pandemic thing, it's a literal massive power grab. It's exactly what they did in 2008, just on a grander scale. $2 trillion bailout package, and newsflash, they're gonna do another one because this one was not enough. Because this one only went to the businesses. Because remember, you're only supposed to get $1,200. Not you specifically, Mobley, but everyone at home as well. Like, Nancy Pelosi is already talking about like a version 4. You know, like, so this is crazy. It's gonna get out of control. So the reason why I asked you about holding dollars was because, I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but I foresee, people's personal liquidity.
I don't think people are going to run on banks. If you're asking that question, I don't think there's going to be a run on banks. I think that we've printed so much money that it's so like, why would, now I don't need cash. I don't need it. I can use my cell phone. I can use my debit card. I can use Bitcoin. I can use Litecoin. I can use, there's a host of things.
That's a whole other issue about, the cryptocurrency, because we're talking about fungibility now. Like, can I actually spend the shit? Is anyone actually going to take it? But what I'm saying is that what's going to happen is, how do I say this? Look at what's happening now with unemployment, with those online systems trying to just get their applications put through. So here's my thing. The reason why I'm saying why I think, and I'm not like some conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I really think as a personal protective measure, instead of relying on your piece of plastic to barter a transaction for you, I'm supposed to hope that Visa like makes it through this whole thing. No, I'd rather put my faith in the dollars that you said it's going all around the world. I'd rather know that I can go into that store and get what I need to get because I have cash, as opposed to.
I'll tell you what, if we get to the point where Visa goes insolvent, then you might as well burn all your cash as well.
I'm not even talking about them going insolvent. I'm talking about, again, what I'm talking about is in a few weeks, when no one has any money, right? When no one has any money to even buy shit in the first place, what starts happening in the streets?
Anarchy.
Okay, so all I'm saying is.
I get you there, but here it is. Let me detail you my I can just speak from my perspective. I can't speak from anybody else. My consumer habits, right? So prior to coronavirus, I had 2 vacations planned, one in March and one in June. And we still have 2 at the end of the year. The 2 at the end of the year, like we're looking at that right now and saying, okay, well, we might have to cancel those 2. But the one in March we canceled because of coronavirus. I shared that with you on your trip here. And then the one in June, we canceled just because we just extended the 30 days to stop the spread. Okay, but here it is. Me, and I understand I'm different from everybody else, but I already had this income, right?
I can't hear you.
And so,
I can't hear you.
Okay, so I already had this income, right? And I know it's my background.
Take your time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's really loud. It's his toys.
Can you hear me now? Can you
Yeah,
hear me
I
now?
can hear you, but it's his toys. Whatever he's playing with.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Bash, sit down for a little bit, okay?
Thanks, buddy. Just give me like 3 more minutes with your dad.
Yeah. So yeah, he's my son's he's a live wire.
I'm aware.
But
he's cool.
Leave off that?
No,
I'm
you're
sorry.
good, bro.
I blanked out.
So you were telling me about the
Also,
vacations and your perspective.
So we canceled those, right? So here it is. So that's cash that we already had set aside for that expense. So we don't have that expense anymore. So that's just money that's there. As far as our consumption of other things, our utilities, we still have to pay. Have our utilities increased? No.
But what happens when you don't have any more money, dude?
I won't say gas is a little cheaper. Gas is a whole lot cheaper. But we aren't even doing as much driving as we would normally be doing because of the quarantine. So there's just certain things. This is kind of like it's like Trump said the other day, and I found it very odd that he said it. He said this is artificially induced. And so like we can talk about the Saudis and Russia, their whole price game that they've got going on right now. Bastion.
Yo.
Come here. Come over here with me. Come with me. Come here. Say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here, man. Let me get you on the camera. Maybe you'll show up there. Say, what's up, man?
I just said you were terrible. The audio was terrible. I couldn't hear him.
So we can talk about all that, but like I said, right now, I agree with you. We have to get people back to work. Right now, we're incentivizing people. You know what I think this all was? It was Bernie just got his seat stolen again.
Yes.
That's what just happened. We've now just programmed the country to not. I mean, we've accepted socialism to a degree.
No.
That's what we've done.
No. We haven't accepted it.
That was one of Bernie's main points, man. And now it's just
not
gone.
even about it. It's not even about it. It's not even about
the Trump candidates.
It's not even about accepting socialism. I took a run last night. I took a run last night through an affluent part of town, and it was dead. It was desolate, right? There was like one restaurant, and and they were doing curbside service. But all I could think about was the concentration of wealth that built that neighborhood was because of capitalism, right?
Right.
But what is happening now that's expected to save that neighborhood? Democratic socialist policies. Get handouts to the businesses, handouts to the consumers, fucking democratic socialism. So is capitalism going to save itself? I don't think so, because then we wouldn't be talking about stimulus checks.
We've done the same thing with the farmers this whole time, and nobody paid attention to it. That's what the tariffs has been. It's been welfare to the farmers. So, we're just changing, it's smoke and mirrors. We're just changing the story daily, as to what it is. And people have short memories.
Yeah, they do. And that's, and you know what? And that's why, like, when I do these shows, I really hope that that's what the reality is. People have short memories in the sense that, like, if I say stupid shit or something weird, they'll just like only remember the good stuff.
It's valid, bro. Like, that's the thing. We've got to take everybody's perspective and combine it together, because that's what it is. We're not gonna. Some of us are just bullheaded, bro. It's just people. It's human nature. Like, some of us are just gonna keep trying it our way no matter what. And then sometimes you got to hear from somebody else. And sometimes you got to try their way. But the only way you learn is by sharing the experience. So.
On that note, sir, I appreciate your time today. I love you. I love that kid, and I love your fucking wife. So I will talk to you soon, my guy.
All right, my brother. Well, peace out, man, and everybody out there listening. I hope you all participate, bro. Tell everybody to participate. Everybody needs to participate in this market recovery, dog. It's gonna happen. It's gotta happen together, bro. $5, $10, $15, whatever. It's about the next generation, dog.
I'm down with it. All right, my guy. I'll talk to you soon.
Right, all right, man. We love you guys.
Peace.
Say peace, man. Say peace.
Peace. That's awesome. I totally forgot his kid was there listening the whole time. Sorry for cussing. Oh, man. Okay. I love that dude. Yeah. Okay. I want to kind of end on like a lighter note. We're going to get out of here. thanks for sticking through. Whoever's been there, I see a couple people watching online, so appreciate you. I'm pretty sure one of them is my mom. So hi, Mom. Okay, so the China divorce, and then we'll do So one of the things everyone's talking about is all the corona babies that are gonna happen. That's normal. That's like normal. You stick people in rooms in any form, and if they like each other, they're probably gonna bone each other. So there's gonna be a lot of babies born in about 9 months. So congratulations for that. But this story I think is kind of funny because we're also talking about a lot of divorces happening. And I take it back. The entire story is not all funny. There is a very serious part of it, and it's going to talk about domestic abuse. So I really, and that's where I want this to go. I really want this to go two ways. I want you to kind of again, the light side of this is the divorce rate. For whatever reason, I know it sucks for people, but it's kind of, to me, I find it a little bit humorous, because China for so long didn't have the ability for people to divorce. This is like a new thing for them. So every year, you can look it up, every year the divorce rates are going up. So post-corona, they really went up. But the other part of this story that I want people to understand about this whole confinement thing is there's a lot of people that are being forced to stay in places and spaces with people that they just really, people that hurt them. So we'll watch this video and then I'll tell you what I think about how to deal with that. So. Sorry, give me 1 second. We're going to pause this video because there's words everywhere. So we're going to take my picture off of it so you can read, because this is mostly words and stuff. So just hit the eyeball on me and then run with it. So yeah. I think that's it. Because this is just talking about how they're dealing with it. You can leave it here for a little bit. Yeah. Now let it ride. Yeah. So yeah, real quick, obviously the beginning was about the divorces and stuff, and then the end was, so I want to leave you with some lasting words, and part of these lasting words will touch on the domestic violence portion of what we, just kind of real briefly saw. I need everyone to take care of each other right now. And I know outside of the norm, because we're always taking care of each other, but now more than ever, right? Now we have more time. We have a little bit more time to pay attention to the things that people have been trying to tell us for so long. And I know that domestic violence is it's fucking foul, man. It's just really bad. So there's a lot of times that people around you are in these positions, and I was having a conversation with someone 2 days ago or whatever, and we were talking about people being in their own head, right? In the sense that I was sitting outside and I was saying hi to everyone that was walking by, and I had a 60% success rate with a response. And I told the person, I said, that happens to me all the time. And they said, do you ever think that people are just in their headspace and they don't hear you? And I said, yes, but also no. And in my mind, as much as we have the liberty to be in our own minds, in our own space, we have to understand that everyone else also has this place for themselves, right? So here's my bubble, here's your bubble, here's this guy's bubble, here's this person's bubble. Like, we all have these things, right? And you're more than welcome to live in your bubble. But when we talk about social contracts and taking care of each other and things that we didn't even want to be a part of, like, hell, maybe even being born, because I definitely was not asked to be here. And I don't think any of you all were fucking phoned from the womb and was like, hey, you down? You ready to come? Nah, right? We were all just thrust here, okay? So there's certain things that are here now that we can't control. We're part of it. Fucking deal with it, all right? And one of them is a social contract that we need to take care of each other. And I get that some of you guys just act like that contract doesn't exist. And that's, I'm working on it. That's why we're talking. But I said, I personally don't feel like it's fair for me to walk around the world, as much as I love my own space. It's not fair for me to collide with other people's spaces because I'm not paying attention. That's not fair. If I am not, like, something as simple as a car accident, because I'm in my head while I'm driving my car and I'm worried about the gram, I fucking wreck into a car full of kids and I kill one. There's no excuse for that. What, am I allowed to say, oh, well, I'm sorry, I was in my own space, I wasn't paying attention, I should have had my eyes open. So I legitimately rather, I make it a point to be as mindful as possible all the time. And in terms of domestic violence and all the stuff that is happening now, but it happens all the time for sure. But now I believe the magnitude is going to be greater than anything that we previously endured, because again, these people are confined to spaces, tight spaces with each other for prolonged periods of time, as opposed to before, sometimes the person that was the victim was able to go to work for 8 hours a day. They got a fucking break, So be mindful, please. Talk to each other. We have these wonderful devices that allow us to, in real time, see, not only hear, but see each other. And so let's use them. And I'm doing my best to stay in touch with my family. I missed a phone call with them yesterday. I was working on doing the show and stuff today, and I have a bunch of other stuff to do. And, but get there when you can and do your best to reach out when you can. I know I'm not the best at communication, but I'm definitely always listening though. Sometimes I may not initially be the person that reaches out, but I respond. I always fucking respond, and I'm always paying attention. So pay attention to your neighbors, pay attention to patterns, right? I'm not saying to be nosy and all in people's shit, right? But if you already have an idea, something bad is happening next door, right? Pay a little more attention and let's really figure out something bad is happening next door, okay? Cash, last thing. I personally, just as a measure of safety for yourself so you can sleep at night, because I would much rather have my cash, some of it at least, if not most of it, rather have my cash by my side than something happens and I can't get to my cash. Okay? Very simple. You can always pull it out now. And I don't know about you guys, but when I have cash in my pocket, I spend it a little more wisely. So especially now when we need to be saving the most, pull a little bit of cash aside, right? Spend it wisely to get you through this time if you have it. And if you have a bunch left over at the end, you fucking made it. Go put it back in the bank. It's that simple. It's not like life or death. It's not like if you go pull out your life savings out of the bank, you can't put it back. So I would suggest doing that. Just at least have cash on you. And honestly, that's me. That's all the time. That's how I feel about all the time. You should always have some cash on you anyways. I know some people are entirely cashless. I pay with my watch too, man. But there's some places I go that don't accept credit. And you know what? That's what I should have told Mobley when I was talking to him. I totally forgot. That's where I was going with that. I forgot. Not everywhere has damn credit cards. And you think that in an economic crisis, in a downturn, that 3.5% that the credit card processors charge every damn transaction for the merchant, you think they want to pay that? Fuck no. They want you to give them cash. Support locals. Support your small business. You give them cash. They don't have to pay a portion of what they sold you to the credit card company who processed the transaction. That's why you need to have cash. There you go. Ooh. Yeah, so that was it. That's really all I got for today. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Appreciate Hector. He does his thing. And we'll do this again next Saturday. And hopefully we keep it going. Take care of each other. We survive together. I love you. I love your family. I love your friends. And we'll talk again soon.